My bad. I cut the video. It is what it is. I cut the video. Let me actually reset this real quick. Hold on. Nobody's in yet. Hold on. Can y'all hear the music? Let me know if y'all can hear the music.
Big fish, hit a big lick. We gon' bet it right back and hit a big flip. We been up.
Got my bro in the building. Hold on. I gotta switch cameras. Hold on. I gotta switch cameras. We gotta switch cameras. I don't know why it keeps doing that reset. Ew, we live. Tap in. Tell a friend and tell a friend.
10 toes down, we ain't never gonna stop. I'm a man of my word. I ain't
got my bros in the building. Early Quad in the building. Skeeg in the building. I told him it's finna get spooky tonight. I got a great bedtime story for y'all tonight. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Make sure that you share this link with somebody. Throw it into the group chat. I don't care if you throw it into the same group chat that I just threw it in. Throw it into a group chat. Oh man. All right. Let me cut that for a second. Hold on. Let me y'all know I gotta turn the fan down. Hold on. Let me just make sure that. Just want to make sure that the mic's working. Hold on. Oh, actually, the fan may be good. It doesn't look like the mic's picking it up. It does not look like the mic's picking it up. Let me grab my wine real quick. Yo. If you saw the thumbnail, then you already know what we're about to talk about. We were lied to. We were misled. We were hoodwinked. We were bamboozled. Whatever other word Malcolm X would use to describe it. Insert now. We were lied to about the Ku Klux Klan. We were straight up lied to. And something just told me, yo, you should check out a Ku Klux Klan interview. Matter of fact, let me turn on this light a little bit more. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. I turned it down a little bit to set the vibe a little more. And there you go. I like that a little better. But we were lied to. And so I stumbled across this Ku Klux Klan interview in 1982 with their Grand Wizard. And I don't know why it was in my algorithm. I can't tell you. Maybe it was a bunch of these Nick Fuentes interviews that we've been reviewing. Perhaps. I don't know. But I came across it and I didn't actually look at it until tonight. I saved the video earlier and I'm looking at this video. It's an interview. And I'm like, hold up. This is a Klansman? This is the head of the Klan talking like this? This is the head of the Klan? He sounds like Dr. Umar, just talking about white people. He sounds like Malcolm X. He sounds like Elijah Muhammad. He sounds like Jonathan Greenblatt, the video that we just played with the ADL, and him being concerned with Jewish people marrying people who are not Jewish. He sounded like all of these people, and I'm sitting here like, damn, I was always told that the KKK hated black people. The KKK couldn't stand black. They just tried to kill black people. I was told all of these things. And I realized that a lot of these stories I was told, most of the time, it wasn't people that actually experienced it firsthand. It was always the telephone game of this was told to me and passed down to somebody else. And then I put on a video. It's like, you know what the same feeling was? It was that feeling when Trump, when we were told that Trump said that there were very fine people on both sides during the Charlottesville incident. When we were told that there were very fine people on both sides in the Charlottesville incident, that's what Trump said. And then when you watch the entire speech, 2 sentences later, he literally word for word says, and I'm not talking about the white supremacists and neo-Nazis. They should be condemned at all cost. And not only did the news cycle, the news, CNN, MSNBC, not only did they continuously push this narrative that he was saying that there's very fine people on both sides, Barack Obama came out in this last election and he was still pushing that same narrative. And what it did for me was it opened my eyes up to say, hey, they will lie and propagandize in whatever way that they need to, or they feel that they need to, in order to get us to think a particular way, to feel a particular way, especially when they're trying to tap into our emotions and get us riled up. And I'm sitting here thinking like, damn, if somebody's such a bad person, if Donald Trump's such a bad person, if he's such a racist, if he's such all these things that certain people used to say about him, then why would you need to lie to add fuel to the fire? Why can't you just tell me exactly what he did? If you're telling me that somebody said something about me, if one of my friends comes to me and says like, yo, such and such was talking about you, they said A, B, and C, and they start adding D, E, F, G, A, I'm going to be looking at my man like, bro, why did you tell me all this extra stuff that such and such said about me when you know that they didn't say this about me? And if they responded, the Democrats or liberal, whoever doesn't like Donald Trump never responded this way. But if they responded this way and said, well, I just don't like that person, and I just didn't want you to like that person, I'd be looking at them like, yo, you're bugging. Like, why would you lie to me? Why would you deceive me this way? And that's the same way that I started looking at a lot of these news outlets. It's the same way I started looking at them. So as I'm sitting here in 2025 and 2024, looking at the things that they blatantly lied about and misled me for years, because obviously the Charlottesville situation was years ago, and I just found out what Trump actually said maybe like a year ago. So this whole time I was using that in conversations with people. Y'all know how I am. I like having passionate conversations with people. So here I am using something that wasn't true in order to prove my point. So I was pissed off. I'm like, damn, they're intentionally feeding me misinformation, fake news. And now I'm pushing that very same fake narrative out because I trusted the media. So I was pissed off, and it got me thinking like, damn, if we see them lie about certain things that happen right now in this day and age where we have cell phones, where we can go on TikTok and find out what's really going on and all these different things, right? And they didn't have that back in the day, then it just got me thinking. It took me down like a mental rabbit hole. I didn't watch a bunch of videos, but it just got to the point where I started questioning everything. Things started replaying in my mind where I was like, oh, damn, they told us, like, who are some of the other people that they told us across the board that we should just hate, we should despise? And I'm like, oh, Hitler. But then I started thinking, I'm like, okay, Hitler was clearly a bad person, right? Clearly an evil person doing evil things. Okay. Why do y'all need to add extra stuff? And then I started thinking about Jesse Owens, how he always said that he was treated better in Nazi Germany than he was when he came back home with gold medals in America. All these things started replaying in my mind. I started thinking about all the other people that they've lied to us in the past, all the history that they tried to change, and how when somebody's trying to use you, I started thinking about the Democratic Party, and I'm like, yo, the Democratic Party, they're always trying to convince me that I should hate this person and that they're racist, and if I don't think that they're racist, then they damn near condemn me for as a black. I got white liberals telling me that I'm wrong and wagging their finger at me because I don't think the person that they're trying to convince me is racist is racist. And then when you dig a little deeper, you're like, oh, you want me to think and embrace the fact that they're racist because it serves your self-interest, because it feeds the narrative that you want and pushes the agenda and emotionalizes a whole bunch of black people in order to frontline fights like DEI that we don't even benefit from. We're like last on the totem pole or last on the list when it comes to the benefits of DEI, but because we're so emotionally engaged in it, we want to frontline, and we've been willing to frontline every single fight for everybody else because we're the group of people that they can convince to jump out the window and crash out because we're so emotional. So if I know people are lying now, and if I know that they've lied about our history in the past, then when I'm sitting here thinking about the KKK, I'm like, damn, it's not to me of I wonder if they lied. It's what did they lie about? What did they try to finesse me into believing that wasn't true? How did they try to emotionalize me and propagandize me to see through one perspective that benefited them? I'm going to play. So I was going to start off with playing a Nick Fuentes interview. But I think what I'm going to play first is the actual interview that was obviously the topic of the thumbnail. And I want to go through it with you all. And I like holding off the main video, but for a few different reasons, I'll start off with it and then I'll go to the Nick Fuentes video. And the reason why I want to go to the Nick Fuentes video is because a lot of these same talking points, just like we talked about on the last show, which about nationalism, right? Nationalism. To me, Nick Fuentes, a lot of the things that he says as a white nationalist could be aligned with a lot of the things that, let's say, a Malcolm X or Elijah Muhammad or Louis Farrakhan may say as a black nationalist, or Dr. Umar telling you you can't marry outside your race. You need to marry a black one. You don't mess with these snow bunnies. It aligns with the same things that we just saw Jonathan Greenblatt talking about when he said that he's concerned that Jewish people are marrying people who are not Jewish, and that could impact. It's the same thing across the board. And it got me thinking, for one, I've already told y'all before, I don't believe in nationalism. Nationalism will never get us to the place that we want to get to. And it just doesn't make sense. It's just literally stoking the fire for war. Why? And I had to look up the definition of nationalism. And nationalism, you would think, refers to an actual nation, like a country. But it really just referred to, when I looked up the definition, let me actually tell y'all, a large body of people united by common descent, history, culture, or language. That or word is a big word. A large body of people united by common descent, history, culture, or language, inhabiting a particular country or territory. So it's a particular group of people in a particular country, not necessarily, and not even necessarily, not pride for that particular country, but pride for that particular group within the country. And when you have a whole bunch of people within the group that identify first and foremost with that idea, or with that nation or religion or ethnicity or race, then clearly you're just dividing and conquering. We're dividing and conquering ourselves. We need patriotism, a certain level of patriotism that comes with benevolent leadership and understanding and pushes for inclusivity, but is led by our patriotism to the country. We're all within this country. And of course, we need patriotism, or as children of God. That goes without saying. But I'm just talking about when it comes to a nation perspective, because we're talking about the different levels of nationalism. Pride for the country. You know that feeling that we get when it's the Olympics and we don't care whether the person's white, black, brown, Indian, Jamaican, Filipino, Chinese, it doesn't matter, Russia, or from Eastern Europe, Western, but they're American. So we root for everything American, everything rocking that red, white, and blue. We take pride in it. That's patriotism. That's when we come together. So common sense should tell us, like, okay, maybe if we're most together during times of patriotism that either come from, let's say, something like the Olympics, or come from an evil act of us getting into war, which is why a lot of these presidents and politicians like getting us into war, because it brings the country together for the wrong reasons, but it still brings us together. Why not embrace the patriotism that comes with the feel good of the Olympics? But right after the Olympics, right after war, what do we end up doing? We instantly go back. We go back to identifying with all the other things and prioritizing those, where in our greatest moments, when we had our most success being living in harmony and living in peace, it was when we prioritized our patriotism for our actual country. So let's let's get into it. Make sure that y'all like, and subscribe. Please make sure y'all like and subscribe. We're going to get into this video. So this is CNN put up this video. I believe it's in 1982. I'll double check. Yeah, 1982. So this is the Grand Wizard. Let me read. So this is Grand Imperial Wizard Bill Wilkinson. And he's defending his vision of a segregated America on a 1982 episode of Crossfire. So let's, without further ado, let's get into the video.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my humble duty tonight to introduce you to the Grand and Imperial Wizard of the Invisible Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, Mr. Bill Wilkinson. Oh, Imperial Wizard, can you tell me and us, 100 years after you your predecessors set the South aflame with the cross burnings, lynchings, and other events, you should be bothering this country still?
To begin with, I believe a slight rebuttal is in order for your opening statements, or the opening statements that was made about the Klan. We are not anti-Catholic. We are not anti-Semitic. We believe in the white race. We believe that at this point in time that white Americans are being treated as second-class citizens, that the federal laws, the civil rights laws, have created a dual system of justice in this country, a set of federal laws that protects the interest of minorities and local and state laws.
But Grand and Imperial Wizard,
if I may, of white people.
If I may interrupt, if I might be so bold as to interrupt the Imperial Wizard, it says on a sheet that you people hand out to the young and the youths of our high schools, it says, if you want to join the Klan, quote, "I swear that I am of white, non-Jewish heritage. Are you fed up with special privileges given to blacks?" That's a quotation from your own literature.
Absolutely. We are a Christian.
What do you mean you're not anti-Semitic?
We are a Christian organization. We also don't allow Buddhists or Muslims or atheists in the organization.
When did you take in the pet?
I'm going to rewind that. I want y'all to pay attention to the interviewer. And I want you to pay attention to, what's the guy's name? Bill, or whoever the Grand Wizard's name is. Pay attention to what he says answering the questions. Pay attention to how the questions are framed, and pay attention to how this interviewer frames him and how he answers the question in a way that he wants to get across something that the Grand Wizard is not saying. What he started off saying, let's go back to it. And then I was trying to play a little bit more of it than I normally do, but let's go back, and I just want to go through this. I just want to go through this again because I'm going to stop it a couple times.
Invisible Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, Mr. Bill Wilkinson. Oh, Imperial Wizard, can you tell me and us, 100 years after you your predecessors set the South aflame with the cross burnings, lynchings, and other events, you should be bothering this country still?
To begin with, I believe a slight rebuttal is in order for your opening statements, or the opening statements that was made about the Klan. We are not anti-Catholic. We are not anti-Semitic. We believe in the white race. We believe that at this point in time that white Americans are being treated as second-class citizens, that the federal laws, the civil rights laws, have created a dual system of justice in this country, a set of federal laws that protects the interest of minorities and local and state laws.
But Grand
sounds very much like the same things that we say about DEI right now. Now, he's talking about affirmative action, and I know certain people will argue that there's a difference between them, and perhaps there are in some ways. Perhaps affirmative action was more so about using a wider net to cast people, but making sure that you were still getting opportunities based on merit. So not lowering the SAT score that you can get in for a black kid compared to another kid, not lowering the requirements for certain black people, or I mean, DEI really is across the board for women and others in other groups, whether you're handicapped, all these different areas. he sounds just like Nick Fuentes sounds right now. He sounds just like a bunch of white Americans sound right now who express that they have black fatigue and they're tired of being blamed for everything. And they're tired of losing out on opportunities because the country feels that they need to right a wrong made to black people. Now, I'm not saying that the country shouldn't right that wrong. Not saying that. I'm going to keep watching. You guys got to keep watching. And then I'm going to unpack more of my views on this as we go. But I just want to be very clear before I give my views, just that we're hearing what's going on clearly. I know y'all are smart enough to pay attention. I'm not saying all that. But, hey, sometimes we got to really dig deep because they do a very good job of misleading people. And I told y'all, I come into this with a bias. And my bias is that I do not trust what people who have tried to act like my friend and have never done anything for me, and more so put in certain programs and whatever else that actually makes you do more harm to me than my enemy. But then you try to convince that other person is the worst person, but you'll work with that person when you need to be, but I can't ever work. Y'all kind of get what I'm saying? I do not trust people who are trying to convince me to dislike people that they don't even dislike themselves, who think that they're smarter than me, who think that they can tell me like, hey, that person doesn't like you, but you need me in order to fight that person, in order to fight that battle. Let's keep going. My fault. I'm over talking.
An imperial wizard, if I may.
Of white people.
If I may interrupt, if I might be so bold as to interrupt the imperial wizard. It says on a sheet that you people hand out to the young and the youths of our high schools, it says, if you want to join the Klan, quote, I swear that I am of white, non-Jewish heritage. Are you fed up with special privileges given to blacks? That's a quotation from your own literature.
First thing, I swear that I'm not Jewish. What is wrong with that? What is wrong with you having a group? I'm just saying based on society standards, not my standards. Y'all know how I feel. I think throw away all the religions. Throw away all. If we can't understand that the religions are all a series of solutions that were presented by humanity, hopefully with the goal of bringing humanity together and solving the problems from that day and time. If we can't look at religion like that and understand that the religions that we have should work together to promote and push positivity amongst humanity so we can eventually live in harmony and achieve that greater peace that we always talk about, then throw them away. Throw them away, because all they do is get in the way and cloud our judgment and our relationship directly with God. If something is separating us, then how can it be godly? We all are children of God, right? So y'all know how I feel about that. But based on today's standards, right? Because we had no problem on the last show when we said that Moses, when he was talking about slavery being okay and condoning slavery or condoning how you can beat your slavery, that he was just saying that based on the days and times. So I'm just making this statement. If we're going to sit here and have an issue with him saying that, hey, I want my organization, which is a Christian organization, to have other Christians in it, white Christians. My organization, the white Christian organization. What's wrong with me having a white Christian group? The same way that Dr. Umar will not allow any white people to donate to his school because he wants to keep it all black, for us, by us, right? So what's the difference between him? What's the difference between a Marcus Garvey, and maybe this is one of the reasons why Marcus Garvey worked with the Ku Klux Klan? What's the difference between him preaching black nationalism or Malcolm X preaching black nationalism, not wanting black people marrying white people, not wanting us integrating on certain levels? What is the difference? And what's so funny about all this, this guy's on here preaching segregation, but in all actuality, the fight against segregation with the civil rights that black people frontline, when you really think about it, here we frontlined a fight that all the liberals, mostly white Democrats and white liberals, what did y'all do with it? Y'all gave us social programs. Y'all gave us all these things that crippled our communities. while promoting your community. All of these things that y'all gave us from us frontlining the fight in civil rights. What did Lyndon B. Johnson give us? He gave us social programs. Those social programs crippled our families. What did Joe Biden give us? He gave us the crime bill. The crime bill crippled our families and got fathers out of the household. But let's go back to the social programs with Lyndon B. Johnson. We frontlined the civil rights fight. When we look at what we had during segregation, and I know people like to always only talk about Tulsa, Oklahoma, as if that was the only Black Wall Street. There was a Black Wall Street in every city where there were Black people. It was across the country there were Black Wall Streets. Why? Because there was segregation. Black people were forced to do business with Black people. I know that sounds like a foreign concept because we look at the country that we live in now, and you can't do enough to get Black people to support Black people. You can't do enough to get Black people to look at things that were created by Black people and value them the same as the Europeans, whether it's clothing or anything else. So here we are frontlining this civil rights fight. We had our own banks, our own schools. We had a positive culture. We had education was cooler at that time. We had our own grocery stores. We had everything. We had a booming economy. We controlled our entertainment. We had booming economies in entertainment across the board and everything. Y'all saw the great debaters. We had excellent Black colleges. But then the liberals convinced us to fight for civil rights. And now look at Black people. They crippled us. But we look at him as he's the evil person. We celebrate Joe Biden and think he's amazing. We celebrate Bill Clinton, who was the one that actually was president when they pushed forward that crime bill. And we had the nerve, the nigga nerve to call Bill Clinton the first Black president. Oh, he's cool. He does a little saxophone. He's got an office in Harlem. How ignorant are we? But then we listen to him and he's the wrong person. Like he's the evil one. Oh, that's right. Because they were burning. They were burning and lynching people, right? Okay. Let's continue with this interview, but I got a question. Do Black people want to be judged by the worst people in our group? Do we want to be judged by the worst of us? Okay. Y'all see where I'm going, right? But it's perfectly fine for us to judge other people. I'm just asking the question. I'm just calling a spade a spade. I'm a man. Just as a reminder, I'm a man. I don't budge based on what benefits me in this situation or what benefits. I'm standing on truth and principles because I found that when we don't do that, we will always be compromised. We will always contradict ourselves, and that's just not how I live. Tell me the truth, and then let me draw my own conclusion. Don't fabricate stuff. Don't try to propagandize me with anything. Let's look at the actual facts. Let's look at the results. He's sitting on here just saying like, yo, the same thing that all these Black mothers say about their kids, especially their sons, don't bring no white woman home. What's the difference between what he's saying?
Absolutely. We are
Well,
a Christian.
What do you mean you're not anti-Semitic?
We are a Christian organization. We also don't allow Buddhists or Muslims or atheists in the organization.
When did you take?
So now I'm anti-Semitic, right? It's funny how all this works. It's funny how all of this stuff works. Like I'm seeing the play. I'm seeing the same play being used on us over and over, and we continue to fall for it. Because I have a Christian organization and I prefer, because obviously, I mean, you look around based on what's going on, even though a lot of these religions say the same thing, but clearly the culture and clearly they're seeing things differently. So it's okay for people to have a Buddhist group or a Jewish group that is only for Jewish people. It's okay for there to be a Jewish school. It's okay for there to be a Muslim school. But for whatever reason, it's a problem when it comes to white Christians. I'm just asking a question. And we're going to talk about schools as well. We're going to get into school conversation. I'm just asking the question. It's okay for us to run around, scream all black, everything. Wear t-shirts that say, I'm rooting for everybody black.
In the Pat Buchanan's, when I was a kid in Dubuque, Iowa, the Ku Klux Klan, which was then fairly powerful in Indiana, about 1922 or 3, somewhere in there, you were anti-Catholic.
The Klan has had different views from time to time on lesser issues. Mm-hmm. The one issue we've never changed on.
Have y'all ever heard Ben Shapiro describe Jesus? We do understand the story between, around Jesus, right? Let me ask y'all this. There's a word anti-Semitic for Jewish people, or Semites more particularly, I should say. Now, perhaps people should look up what a Semite is. Don't ask Kyrie Irving, you may get in trouble. And what I'm talking about is the history of a Semite. When you heard Kyrie at the time saying, I can't be anti-Semitic, a lot of times we think of Jewish people as only being a white group. No, they were black Jewish people. A lot. Who do you think was in that region? Yo, this is damn. I am just realizing how completely misled, and what's wild is, as I'm thinking about this, I'm just in my mind, I'm like, yo, I got to do so much more unpacking, because I think about all of the other things that we were told and presented in a way, and was completely misrepresented. And let me be very clear. You know what's funny? You know what's funny? And I want to challenge. I don't want to talk about, but I want to challenge my parents' generation. I want to challenge my parents' generation. And it really has my mind going a bunch of different places. And I'll try to bring y'all in on what's going through in my mind. My parents' generation, y'all were the first ones in a lot of ways to become educated as far as school. In my opinion, that education came with a sacrifice. And it came with a certain level of understanding and consciousness, and especially when it comes to the history of our people, of Black Americans, right? It came with a certain sacrifice of buying into a lot of these liberal policies and buying into affirmative action and buying into all these other things that on the surface seem like such amazing things for us. But in my opinion, we sacrificed a lot of our consciousness and understanding because we placed so much power and we gave so much of it away to just say, you know what, the liberals, they'll take care of us. I just need to focus on going to school, getting educated, getting a good job, and making good money. But we sacrificed, I keep saying understanding. We sacrificed a lot of our understanding on history, a lot of our understanding on religion. My parents' generation. One of the most, they say that the baby boomer generation, you got Fox News that entertains and propagandizes the conservative baby boomers. And then you got MSNBC and CNN and all the liberal stations that just propagandize all the baby boomers that are liberal. So what do we have? We have some of the most misled, we have one of the most misled generations of people, one of the most propagandized generations of people, because that was also the generation where you're getting the television, right? You're getting news on the television for one of the first times. You're doing less and less reading. So now you're getting news on the television, but you don't have the benefit that we have with social media to actually look up and check a lot of the stuff that we see on TV, because we look at stuff on TV and it's nothing for us to say like, yo, that's BS. But when our parents were growing up, they looked at the TV and the news like, yo, that's the word. They believed in that as much as people believe in the Bible. Like the people on TV that are dressed up in a suit and tie, they wouldn't lie to us. Let's keep going.
You were anti-Catholic.
The Klan has had different views from time to time on lesser issues.
Mm-hmm.
The one issue we've never changed on is that of segregation. We believe that God has commanded us to separate ourselves from other races. In fact, that's not a unique stand. Billy Graham, just a few years ago, himself segregated his crusade audiences. He preached segregation. The Southern Baptist and the National Baptist, one was black, one was white. Mm-hmm. They practiced and preached segregation.
It's real easy to call out a KKK person, right? A lot of people that have certain energy in calling out KKK people, y'all would never use that energy to call out certain things that you may see with Judaism and Israel. Now, not saying, now let me say this. If you don't believe what he said is wrong, then you don't have to call out anything. But if you hear what he just said, saying that his religion calls for a separation of certain people, what do we think is being justified right now when you see two warring countries or warring nations, however you want to put it? What do we think we're looking at when we look at Israel and Palestine? What do we think we look at when one group says that they're entitled to this land because God gave it to them? But your energy changes in calling out these people running around with these costumes on compared to other people. That energy seems to change. You talk a little bit lower. It's real easy to call out this one, right?
So we didn't invent segregation. We just still believe in it.
Let me ask you about something, and you did correct it, let me say, before the show started, something I was unaware of. But there are a number of Klan organizations, and I gather it is not yours, who march in tandem, arm in arm, with members of the American Nazi Party. Now, the Nazis were responsible for the murder, not simply of Jews in Germany, but American pilots, American soldiers. They're guilty of all manner of horrid atrocities. They have on their, I guess on their record, some 250,000 American dead. Now, why would any patriotic American, or one who calls himself a patriotic American, be anywhere near the swastika, the insignia of Hitler's Germany?
Well, as you conceded before the show, I did clear up that point. The Klan, the Invisible Empire, which I head, detests Nazis as much as we do communists. But I'd like to make one thing clear, that there's too much hype today about the Germans and the Nazis. Let's not forget that the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor and they led to death marches in Bataan. I don't believe that we should condemn all of the Germans for something that happened in Germany 40 years ago. And I do condemn what Hitler did to anyone.
Why would any patriot, someone who calls himself a patriot, and a Klan's groups with which I guess you're associated with members, if not the leadership, why would they march with people who march under the swastika?
We don't.
You don't. Why do your colleagues do that?
I believe, to make it clear at first, we're the only national Klan organization left. There have been those that have come and gone. It's sort of like the political parties, the Democrats, Republicans, American independents. They come and they go. They splinter and they regroup and rejoin. Right now, we are the major unquestioned Klan organization in America. There's some people that we have expelled from our organization that will start other branches. In their anxiety to get membership and support, they will join with anyone, including Nazis.
This is not.
Do black people, do we want to be judged off of our most radical people? Do Democrats want to be judged off of the most radical people? Do Republicans, conservatives want to be judged off of the most radical people in their group? So not only did he condemn the people within his group, which is something that even in politics is something that you never hear. You never hear a Democrat calling out the people in the Democratic Party saying like, nah, I don't align with that. You never hear police officers calling out the bad behavior on police from the bad cops, right? Calling that stuff out. You never hear Jewish people, Israeli. Well, you can't say that because we've played some rabbis on the show that will call out certain behavior. This man is sitting here calling out the behavior. This is like some frat sorority thing. Like, yo, they not even a real, they're paper. They not even a real frat. They not even real sorority. We condemn them just like we condemn, he said that we condemn Nazis just like we condemn communists. But this is not what I grew up learning. This is not the picture that they painted for me for the KKK. Listen to what the man said. He said, as you conceded, and I actually like this guy on the right, Pat Buchanan. I think he conducted the interview in a very good way compared to the other guy as we go forward. But let me go back and listen and just hear his response. Tell me where he's off.
Pearl Harbor, and they led to death march.
Tell me where he's off. From him talking about Germans, like where it's like, yo, y'all lumped all of Germany in the category for what the Nazis did? Damn, I hope you don't judge me for everything that black people do or the black gangs do. Isn't that the same thing that we complain? Don't we complain about when we're judged and when we say, oh, they're judging me, a black person, based on the worst black people? Don't we get upset when that happens to us? And we don't even condemn, we don't even condemn the worst of black people. I do, but y'all don't. We don't even condemn the worst of black people. I've been taking heat for the longest time for calling out the bad behavior of black people. So we don't even condemn the worst of us, and we don't want to be considered, when it doesn't suit us, we don't want to be, hey, don't look at us like that. But here you got the KKK. We're lumping all of them in one category, right? We're lumping all of them in one category, and he's coming out saying like, yo, they're not a part of us. We got one national organization. I don't know what these goofies over there are doing. We don't march with people that rep that swastika stuff. We don't march with Nazis. Did y'all hear something different?
250,000 American dead. Now, why would any patriotic American, or one who calls himself a patriotic American, be anywhere near the swastika, the insignia of Hitler's Germany?
Well, as you conceded before the show, I did clear up that point. The Klan, the Invisible Empire, which I head, detests Nazis as much as we do communists. But I'd like to make one thing clear, that there's too much hype today about the Germans and the Nazis. Let's not forget that the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor and they led to death marches in Bataan. I don't believe that we should condemn all of the Germans for something that happened in Germany 40 years ago. And I do condemn what Hitler did to any.
Why would any
anyone.
patriot, someone who calls himself a patriot, and a Klan's groups with which I guess you're associated with members, if not the leadership, why would they march with people who march under the swastika?
We don't.
You don't. Why do your colleagues do that?
I believe, to make it clear at first, we're the only national Klan organization left. There have been those that have come and gone. It's sort of like the political parties, the Democrats, Republicans, American independents. They come and they go. They splinter and they regroup and rejoin. Right now, we are the major unquestioned Klan organization in America. There's some people that we have expelled from our organization that will start other branches. In their anxiety to get membership and support, they will join with anyone, including Nazis.
This is not your...
In their anxiety to get certain participation in people in their group, they'll reach out to anybody. I wish they weren't cutting them off. You know what this reminds me of? Y'all know how they have the Black Lives Matter rallies, right? And y'all know how they used to say that Antifa, like there would be certain Black Lives Matter things going on and it would be a peaceful protest. And then you'd see like always, it seemed like professional protesters that were there to just cause chaos, either rile people up or to throw bricks through windows, and they always had like masks on so you couldn't really tell who they were. But they're stoking the fire. Like, let's keep going.
Organization doesn't believe that, but I believe a quote by you I read in a book on the Klan today. You were denouncing the quote, I think it was Jew-controlled media. Have you used that term?
I may have used that term.
It's a direct quote.
I may have used that term some years ago.
What do you mean by that?
But I don't mean by that anything at this point in time. I believe that a lot of Jews are prominent in the media, but I believe that a lot of Baptists and a lot of Methodists and a lot of other people are.
Why would you use the term?
So, yo, this is 1982. Let me remind y'all. This is 1982. Let me remind y'all. This is 1982. Let me remind you. I had to say it 3 times like Dr. Umar. There was a lot said there. Let's go step by step. For one, a lot of y'all Kanye fans, and we've talked about it a lot on this show, that there's a lot of prominent Jewish people controlling the media. Like, it is what it is. Based on the percentage of Jewish people that are in the country, Jewish people have been very successful in their involvement in the entertainment industry, whether that's music, whether that's movies, media, across the board. But he also said that he may have said that years ago, and that means nothing to him right now. And not only did he say that, he also placed blame on other quote unquote Christian groups and said that they got a whole bunch of involvement in it too. This sounds more sensible than a lot of the stuff that I hear now. Now, people will probably say, when you don't care, I'm gonna be totally honest. I've never cared what other people think about me or say about me to the point where I'm going to compromise how I honestly feel in that moment. Sometimes that does me well. Other times doesn't do me well. And other times I probably don't even know some of the opportunities that I may have missed out on. Who knows? Who cares? This is why I said that I feel Nick Fuentes when he said, are there any real niggas left? This is how I felt for the last 15 years. When I'm willing to speak out on certain things and I got a whole bunch of people coming to me behind the scenes, either worried about my well-being or for whatever other reason, or I agree with you, bro. I agree with you, bro, but I just ain't gonna say it. I mean, shit, you saying it? The only reason why it would be dangerous is because y'all are too scared to say it. And the only reason why it would present me any problems is because y'all are too scared to say it. It's the truth. If not, like, how do you pledge these are the very same people that say that they're religious. Like, how do you pledge your life to a religion? Oh, wait, maybe Jesus, your Lord and Savior. Only Jesus has to be truthful. Only Jesus has to die for your sins, right? So therefore, he removed all accountability and responsibility from you. I got you, my bad. But if we're not looking at it that way, isn't religion supposed to just stand on truth and principles? Like, that principle of truth, isn't that supposed to mean something? How do we resolve anything if we're not even willing to acknowledge what's actually going on? So once again, this is why I said I feel Nick Fuentes when he said, are there any real niggas left? Because people have been so scary. Ever since I started having these conversations, I've just seen the fear in so many niggas, and it just bothers me. It just bothers me. Men whether in my family, men in my friend group, many of my acquaintances, it just bothers me when I'm like, yo, y'all supposed to be such strong men that I perhaps looked up to at times, and you're just scared to call something out because you don't want to risk what your boss may say. And half the time it's not even like it's people just making up stuff. It's really because I just don't want to have uncomfortable situations. We make up the fact that, oh, if you say this, you're going to get fired. You're going to get this. Yeah. It's the boogeyman. Like it's real if you believe it.
Jew-controlled media. You don't run around saying the Baptist-controlled media is
prominent in the media, but I believe a lot of Baptists and a lot of Methodists and a lot of other people
Why would you use the term Jew-controlled media? You don't run around saying the Baptist-controlled media is keeping us off the air.
I no longer use that term. It's been a number of years ago that I would have made that comment, and I'm not apologizing for what I might have said at that time.
All right, let's talk about blacks.
All right.
Why?
Wait a minute. I want to go.
Is there any acknowledgement in that he changed his stance? I'm just wondering. And the only reason why I ask is because this is being framed a particular way. I do not care about this dude, like Bill Wilkinson. I know it may come across like, damn, Dak over here just vouching for this KKK dude. I'm indifferent on him. I'm indifferent on him like I'm indifferent about a whole bunch of other people. Some people that y'all tell me to love, like Barack Obama, I'm indifferent on. Like him, I actually, it goes beyond being indifferent. Y'all tell me I'm supposed to love him. Nah. Matter of fact, the reason why I'm beyond indifferent on him and it goes in the opposite direction is because I used to have those same feelings of love and admiration for that man. And then I saw what he did. But other people that y'all tell me to love, I'm indifferent on. Other people y'all tell me to hate, I'm indifferent on. I'm supposed to hate Nick Fuentes because y'all tell me I'm supposed to hate Nick Fuentes? Okay. You hate Nick Fuentes. I may look at his stuff and laugh like, yo, dude, kind of funny, super smart, intelligent, very skilled, wrong in certain areas, but dude, kind of funny. I don't get that same emotional energy and angry and upset that y'all do. And it's the people that get the most angry and upset who never do shit about the issues anyway. You never do anything about it. Like, what do you actually do about it? And what's so funny about it is a lot of these people who get the most angry and upset and want me to get angry and upset about these things, those people have never done anything, and I have. I've dedicated my time, effort, energy, money to a lot of these causes, these black causes. I've organized people to, we doing the Black Bank thing. We've had programs where we're volunteering, putting our own money up 3 times a week to make sure that we feed the kids, teach them about financial literacy, work on their speech with them, learn history, help them with their writing. After work, after getting up and being in the OR at 5, 6:30 in the morning, whatever that may be. But all these other people that are trying to get, you should be able to, y'all don't do shit. Y'all don't. Y'all just talk about it. Y'all just watch the news and get angry and never do anything.
My brother came back from the airborne in Vietnam, and he told me, that of the bodies that he took out as a medical officer, he said, 50% of those guys were black kids, served in the United States and Vietnam. This was it was a crack frontline unit, and these were American blacks who died in higher numbers for their country in Southeast Asia in that war than did white Americans, as a matter of fact, in the Vietnam War. Now, how can you be against a race which contains people who are out there fighting for their country just as much as white Christian Protestant Americans are?
That's something else that needs to be cleared up, Pat. We're not against the black race. We believe in free enterprise for this country. We believe that everyone should have the same rights.
Well,
right
Mr.
now,
Wizard, it says right here. Wait a minute,
right
Mr.
now,
Wizard. Let me interrupt you for a minute, Mr. Wizard. It says right here, you believe in the...
How do you ask this man a question like that? Based on the branding of the KKK, what they supposedly represent, how do you ask him a question like that? He gives you an answer that completely contradicts and should shock. I mean, it shocked the hell out of me. And you cut him off while he's saying, yo, we don't have no issue with black people. Don't you want him to get that message out? Like, yo, tell us more. Tell the people so we can get our country living in harmony, so we don't have all this hatred built up in you because the perception of one thing. But no, they do what CNN is still doing. They're going to air that Donald Trump said that there's fine people on both sides. And when Donald Trump clears up that he said 2 sentences later, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and white supremacists, they should be condemned at all costs. No, CNN's going to cut that off, just like this dude just cut him off because they want us hating each other. Once again, I told y'all, when people try to convince me so much to hate somebody else that I don't feel that internally where I actually do hate that person, I start questioning, why are they trying to get me to hate this dude so much? And then when you throw in the history around the fact that we've been frontlining these wars for everybody else, we always get emotionally, it's like we just get finessed into fighting and frontlining everybody else. On the surface, it looks like it's a black issue, but then when you actually look at the actual policy and the impact that it's making, it helps everybody else. This is crazy. This is 1982. 1982. And the reason why I get so bothered and I bring up the Charlottesville thing, think back to Charlottesville. The issue was the statues, right? That's what Trump was saying, that there's fine people on both sides of the argument. Some people to say keep up the statues, some people to say take them down. And he clearly said that he's not talking about the white supremacists or neo-Nazis. Okay, got that. Aside from the statues being associated with Confederate leaders or whatnot, and keep in mind, we pick and choose which people that own slaves that we're gonna, condemn, or another argument. Matter of fact, remove that. Not because I don't want to be held accountable for it. Hold me accountable for it, but I just want to clear your mind into hearing this. When you think back to Charlottesville, did any of y'all find it interesting that when those people were marching around with the tiki torches, like it just looked goofy. It was just a goofy show. But when they were marching around with tiki torches, do y'all remember what they were saying? Do y'all remember what they were saying? They were saying Jews will not replace us. Why they picked that particular place to have that conversation, I don't know. And it sounds like to me, like a guy like this would probably be like, bro, what do y'all do? Like, that's not our group. I don't know. The KKK, I assume, is not a united front, because just like I assume that black people are not a united front. But going back to Charlottesville, what was so interesting about the situation is during the time, it never seemed like it was a Jewish fight, even though the people marching around with the tiki torches were saying Jews will not replace us. Everything was emphasized around Black Lives Matter and black people. And years later, once I found out that Trump never said or what he actually said, the very fine people on both sides, I started to think back, and I'm like, yo, and I started to try to look at videos. And I remember vividly, I never heard those people with the tiki torches saying anything about black people. Maybe they did, but the fact that I never heard it kind of made my alarm go off, which is like, damn, I'm sure CNN and MSNBC and whoever else, they would have loved to capture that on tape. These white teenage KKK or whatever, young adults, whatever, marching around with tiki torches saying something about black people. That would have been a hell of a story, right? But all I heard was Jews will not replace us. And I'm not saying all I heard was Jews will not replace us to act as if, oh, that's got nothing to do with us, whatever. That's not a bad thing because it doesn't have anything to do with black people. I'm questioning the fact is, why was that something else that black people were frontlining? I can't remember Jonathan Greenblatt out there with the megahorn, with the ADL. Maybe they were out there. I'm being totally honest. Maybe they were out there. But that's not what was shown to us. That's not what was ran over and over in the media. It was a Black Lives Matter thing. And I'm looking at this like, yo, what this got, like, looking back on it, I'm like, yo, what that really wasn't really about us. But once again, we got thrown into frontline in something that we weren't the primary focus on. And even if you thought that we were part of the focus, why does it always seem like we take the lead and hey, I'll crash out. You know what? It's funny. This I'm gonna give you a quick little thing. You know what? I remember having a conversation with somebody, and all right, let me try to put it this way. There's certain times where you may be a group. Let's say that you're the only white kid in a black group, the only black kid in a white group. You tend to act out because, and like almost want to prove yourself because you're the only one in that group. You tend to act out because you want to be accepted by everybody else. And when you do this, it's like that's just what I think of when I think about black people and all these different fights that we just seem to always be at the forefront of. We don't benefit from the fight, but we're just right there. Is it because we're looking for some type of acceptance? Is it because
for their country in Southeast Asia in that war than did white Americans, as a matter of fact, in the Vietnam War? Now, how can you be against a race which contains people who are out there fighting for their country just as much as white Christian Protestant Americans are?
That's something else that needs to be cleared up, Pat. We're not against the black race. We're not against. We believe in free enterprise for this country. We believe that everyone should have the same rights.
Well,
right
Mr.
now,
Wizard, it says right here. Wait a minute,
right
Mr.
now,
Wizard. Let me interrupt you for a minute, Mr. Wizard. It says right here, you believe in the final solution, which is black repatriation to Africa. Now,
Abraham Lincoln. But now look, I'm not going to be cut off in the middle.
No, but I'm not going to be shut off either. You're running around on a bed sheet. I don't have the bed sheet. But I just want to tell you, I want to ask you this question. Can you imagine this country repatriating all the black Americans that Pat just spoke about to Africa?
No.
I mean, what kind of nonsense
No, I
is
can't.
that?
You know who does feed us on that mindset of repatriating? I've never heard that word. Sending black people going back to Africa. I've seen Ghana, and them want to convince black Americans to go back. Matter of fact, isn't that the entire premise of Dr. Umar's platform? Who black people, we defend, we celebrate, we completely remove all standards when it comes to Dr. Umar just because we like Dr. Umar. Isn't that what Marcus Garvey was trying to get us to do? Pan-African. Like, y'all know what Pan-Africanism is? That's the movement. Black people going back to Africa. Now, he said that he couldn't imagine that, but the fact that the guy's asking it as if it's such a negative thing, like the worst thing in the world. If it is the worst thing in the world, then I'm sitting here wondering, like, damn, what is Umar trying to convince us to do? Why are he trying to finesse? He talking all this Pan-African stuff, but then he trying to build a school in America. Like, it's just, it just doesn't make sense. And if you are for Pan-Africanism, like let's say a Marcus Garvey is probably one of the most successful Black Americans. Now he's from the Caribbean, but Black Americans that we've ever had in America. And I say that because he was the leader that a Malcolm X was, that a Farrakhan was, all these different leaders that we like. He had the lead as far as the influence that he had. Martin Luther King, all right. But he was actually successful. See, this is why Marcus Garvey worked with the Klan. Why it's believed that Marcus Garvey worked with the Klan, because they had a lot of the same issues, segregation. They were both pushing for it. This person is pushing for segregation to keep white. Marcus Garvey was pushing for segregation to keep black. But I'm just wondering what made us villainize this person compared to. I'm just asking. Maybe there's a legit answer. Somebody, if y'all got an answer for me that I may be missing, I may have blind spots. I told y'all I'm biased when it comes to all this stuff. And my bias makes me look at a lot of these liberal concepts with a huge question mark at the very least.
Well,
I
what are you
sure
saying
can.
it for then?
I'm not saying it.
Well,
You
it
said
says right this country repatriating all the black Americans that Pat just spoke about to Africa.
No.
I mean, what kind of nonsense
No, I
is
can't.
that? Well,
I
what are you
sure
saying
can.
it for then?
I'm not saying it.
Well,
You
it
said
says right here.
No, that's your paper. That's not my paper.
That's your paper. I took the
No,
quote
no,
and
no,
wrote
no,
it on
no.
this blue
That's
paper.
not my paper. Now, to get
Is
back
that
to
his-
it.
is that
To get
not
back to
your
it. Now,
claim?
just a minute. I answered your question.
I didn't write it. Said it clear as day. That's what you wrote down. That's not coming from me. I'm here right now. You can ask me right now. Now, whether he's lying, he may be lying. I don't know. Let me catch up with some of these comments because I did ask y'all and I got y'all opinion. Shout out to Jackson Braxwell. Shout out to Harry. Harry wrote, KKK equals Anglo-colonial imperialism of the British monarchy. Historically, today more like Nazi supremacy via white hegemony over all people of color. Harry, have you been watching the video? Harry's stance is actually, I would say, what most of us grew up thinking of it as. We thought the KKK was like some Nazi supremacy group, right? That's what we were taught. But this is why I'm playing this video, because it's demonstrating the complete opposite. Now, you believe what you want to believe. Believe what you want to believe. I'm not here to convince you to see it the way that I see it. I just want you to see it. And then you make whatever judgment that you want to make on it. Because we haven't been shown this. I haven't been. Maybe you have. Harry wrote, Jews historically are not pure blood whitey. Pure blood whiteness is Anglo-Saxon. Yeah, Harry, I can't even say that we are aware of that, because maybe everybody's not aware of that. Maybe everybody's not aware of that. Pure blood whiteness is Anglo-Saxon. This is like some of the conversations that, for whatever reason, we're scared to have. It shouldn't be a fearful conversation to have. Like, whenever we fear having certain conversations, that's when my alarm goes off. Like, you should be able to question me about certain things that I may claim as part of Black history without me never speaking to you again, without me trying to get you to lose your job, whatever it may be. Especially if I can easily, if I'm not wrong. So if people talk about the people that were the first Jewish people in that region, and people come out and say, yo, they weren't white. Show me that they were. Prove to me that they were. Because based on all the things that I've learned in history, that doesn't make sense. But I may be wrong. Tell me. So I don't. But once again, goes back to Nick Fuentes' comment. Are there any real left? Because we've allowed people to get away with saying whatever and whenever to us without us having any level of pushback, people now get offended when the kids of that generation who never pushed back start to push back. And I can't even say it's our entire generation, because most of the people that I'm around, most of my friend group, they won't have this conversation. They either will say they don't know enough about it, they won't feel comfortable speaking on it for whatever other reason, or they just, I don't know. Yeah, Harry, definitely stay tapped in. I want you to give me your opinion on some of this interview, because just based on the interview, and would love for you to catch up later on, and maybe you can, leave some of your thoughts and opinions in the comments. But the KKK is not, this Grand Wizard is not aligned with a lot of what you mentioned and what I grew up thinking that the KKK was. Let's keep going.
Now, I want to finish what I was saying. We feel that affirmative action is discriminating against white people.
Like, they tried to cut him off. This is, am I going to say it? Never mind.
This country repatriating. I'm not going to be shut off either. You're running around on your action, which is black repatriation to Africa. Now, do you really
Abraham
think
Lincoln. But now
you're
look,
running
I'm
around on
not,
this
I'm
bed
not going to
sheet?
be cut off in the middle.
No, but I'm not going to be shut
very-
off either. You're running around on a bed sheet. I don't have the bed sheet. But I just want to tell you,
What?
I want to ask you this question. Can you imagine this country repatriating all the black Americans that Pat just spoke about to Africa?
No.
I mean, what kind of nonsense
No, I
is
can't.
that? Well,
I
what are you
sure
saying
can't.
it for then?
I'm not saying it.
Well,
You
it says right here.
No, that's your paper. That's not my paper.
That's your paper. I took the quote and wrote it on this blue
That's
paper.
not my paper. Now, to get
Is
back
that
to
his-
it,
is that
to get
not
back
your
to it, now
claim?
just a minute. I answered your question. Now, I want to finish what I was saying. We feel that affirmative action is discriminating against white people, and there is no question about it. Two wrongs don't make a right. Because black people were hurt and discriminated against in the past does not justify the discrimination
now,
against white people now.
Mr. Wilkerson,
This is in 1982. And I understand that people may see affirmative action differently than DEI. But it's just funny when I hear him saying this, because what do I always say to, like, what do I always say about DEI? I'm like, yo, you can't solve racism with racism. It just doesn't work. Like, it's just never going to work. Depending on the goal that you're looking for. Now, we may have different goals, but if we're looking for a society living in harmony, you can't solve racism with racism. You don't solve a murder with murdering. It's not eye for an eye. It can't be. If we want to live in a society of eye for an eye, then we will all be blind. Haven't we seen Game of Thrones? Don't we realize, like, hey, if we justify this because they did that, and then now they're going to justify this, but they did that, you're just no different than a street gang, no different than Game of Thrones, no different than the USA, no different than a lot of this back and forth Middle East stuff, like no different. We're never going to get the result until one side is willing to say, you know what? We don't need to get a certain level of get back. It's just not going to work. Now, perhaps him saying this in 1982, it's like, nah, bro, you don't get to say that. You hit me, so now I'm going to hit you, and then now it stops because it's, hey, I can't even say that I'm opposed to that. I can't even say I'm opposed to that from a realistic standpoint. I'm being totally honest. Now, I may say I don't condone violence, I don't condone it, but just from a man's standpoint, maybe this gets in the way. Maybe it's clouding my judgment, but maybe this is just highlighting a certain area where I need to grow. If there's two people and one person punches the other person, sneaks them, they punch the other person. Nah. Okay. Yo, you need to get your get back. And then now it's over. Now this person may say, nah, I'm not letting him hit me. You just hit him. So that's just, they got to get, that would be an ideal problem solving strategy for me. Now, because that person who never gets their get back, they're always going to feel something, like they're always going to feel a type of way. You're never going to be able to resolve that. And this person, they know that it's got to be some type of level of fairness to it. So him saying that when it comes to affirmative action, at the time, I wasn't born yet, but nah. Now this may surprise y'all. I don't know. Nah. We need you don't get to hit me. And then when you hit me, turn around and be like, oh, nah. We cool now. We cool now. So even though he said two wrongs don't make a right, nah. They may not make a right, but hey, it's gonna get it closer than what it would be if I don't make that second wrong. Now, this may be wrong in every aspect of life, especially I'm probably contradicting myself on certain things that I see and that I've discussed as far as Palestine and Israel and a lot of these things. But nah, let me not look at it from a violent standpoint, because that may be where I'm messing it up. But if certain advantages were given to some people, clearly, slavery, all these other things. And then you turn around and now it's like, oh, now we're giving these advantages to this group. And the person who was getting all the advantages before, now they want to complain about this new group getting the advantages. Shut up. Stop complaining. Now, y'all may be looking at it like, well, damn, why do you care? Why do you hate DEI right now? Why do you hate DEI? Why do you always talk about DEI? I talk about DEI because it doesn't work, because it cripples us. Is it worth having a policy in play because we think, oh, well, we're owed this because we had 400 years, so therefore we're owed DEI? Is it worth us fighting that at the expense of it ruining our communities, ruining our mindset, ruining our principles? Is it worth us saying, no, we deserve this, we deserve that, with all these social programs that just cripple us and destroy us, rather than just teach us like, yo, ain't nobody giving us anything, we got to just compete. Doesn't matter if it's harder, doesn't matter, we got to compete. Matter of fact, use it as a rallying cry to unite together. So I don't have any sympathy for him in 1982 when he's complaining about, oh, it's affirmative action, we were given it. Now, this is two separate things. I don't have any sympathy for him, but I want to, y'all need to tell me. I was not aware that he was saying these things at this time. You get what I'm saying? Don't hide the interview from me. Don't create a narrative around, oh, they hate and want to lynch all black people and all this other stuff. But then the same talking points that he's using in 1982 are the same things that I'm saying in 2025. Like, at least just let me hear it, because now I'll tell y'all the truth. Because what I initially could have got on this show and done is just, because I'm so pissed off that y'all hid everything from me, now I'm agreeing with everything that y'all may still be looking at it like, yo, I'm being a little bit favorable to him. Maybe. I told y'all I'm human. I'm not, maybe a bias. But I don't have any sympathy for him crying about things not being fair. You know, I would have liked to have known what was the motivation behind a lot of the things that they were saying was, oh, well, yeah, two wrongs don't make a right, and y'all did it, rather than we just want to kill all niggas, which is what I grew up thinking that the KKK was about. You ain't got to convince me that they're trying to kill. No, actually what he said was, yeah, we don't believe that two wrongs make a right. I have no sympathy for you, bro. But also I get upset with the media for promoting this narrative as if it's one thing and it's not that. Now, I still, once again, bro, so what? You figure it out. It was unfair to you for a couple years, so what? And if it boils over to the point where it gets too unfair, then we make it right. Then we make it even. But you don't just get to punch me in the face and then put your hands up and say, nah, we cool now. Just maybe that's not the right way to look at it, but that's where I am right now. Just got to be totally honest with y'all. Just got to be totally honest with y'all. So Harry wrote, Jews today are more identity theft and plagiarized to be white Zionists. The common Jew holds more historical ideology to the victims of World War II. We've talked about that on the show. Hey, and do me a favor, yo. Make sure that y'all like and subscribe. Harry, you would have really enjoyed some of the earlier conversations that we've had. And moving forward, we talk about all these issues. And what Harry's pretty much saying is that a lot of these people were hold on, let me make sure that the common Jew holds more historical ideology that were victims of World War II. I take away that you're saying that Jews are more Anglo-Saxon European, the Jews that we see now, compared to people that actually were in the region 3,000 years ago. And I think that's what you're saying. If I'm not saying it correctly, please check me. Antonice in the building. Shout out my girl, Antonice. Shout out the homie. Hope all is well, sis. Harry wrote, an eye for an eye is seeing the balance. A tooth for tooth is bite when bitten. Fairness is paramount to right or wrong moralities. Yeah. So Harry wrote, Rome came to us. We did not go to Rome. Fairness is a liberty of proverbial Rome spiritually. without religious conviction. I gotta do a little bit more research in that. Got to do a little bit more digging in that. Let's continue with the interview.
And we're
I
asking
didn't
for an
ask you-
end to that.
Look, I'm against reverse discrimination. I'm
Okay,
against racial
good.
quotas. I'm against affirmative action as it's practiced. But you said, when I introduced you, I didn't say that your organization was. I said historically to most Americans, you're anti-Catholic and anti-Semitic and racist. In other words,
Historically, to most Americans, that's the issue that I had. Historically, so if it was historically that they were anti all those things in 1982, can you imagine what it was years later on of us growing up in our generation, how it was passed down to us? It's like, yo, they wanted to kill all black people. We all saw Malcolm X growing up. We saw the scene where the KKK put Malcolm X's dad on the train tracks and the train ran over him. We saw that. But based on this misleading, I'll be honest with y'all, it got me thinking like, okay, was the KKK like just something that like people just found it cool to identify with? Like a whole bunch of people running around now may find it cool to, oh, I'm blood, I'm Crip, I'm this and that. Half of them aren't, and they're just doing certain things. Like, it just makes me think. It just makes me think. And it makes me question these things because the media has done such a job on lying about them to where it's like, I got to question it.
anti-black. You said,
Okay.
we're not anti-Catholic.
Right.
We're not anti-Semitic. You didn't deny the racist thing.
Well, it depends on your definition of racist. I'm a segregationist, okay? I believe that God has commanded me not to mix with other races.
How far
For
would
that
you-
reason, I want to have schools where I can send my children to a white school. I want to be able to go to my white neighborhoods, to white businesses,
All right, you
for those
can do
things.
that.
So if that
He's a segregationist. Malcolm X was a segregationist. Marcus Garvey was a segregationist. Who else was a segregationist? Elijah Muhammad, Louis Farrakhan. Dr. Umar's a segregationist. Black mothers are segregation. Nah, let me stop. Even though a lot of black mothers are, and especially when it comes to their boys, if we're just being honest. If we're just being honest. So were they segregationist or did they want to kill all black people? Because that's a little bit different. We got to admit that, right? That's a little bit different.
terms
can
me as
do
a
that.
racist, then I'm a racist.
Wait a minute, you can do that, but you can't have tax exemptions in your all-white school. And if
Well,
it's a public school, now black kids whose parents' taxes pay for that school, they got a right to go to that neighborhood school. Now, if you want an all-white school, all-white academy, you can do that right now. You just don't get a tax exemption for it. So what's your complaint?
You say you can do that. Now, maybe I can, maybe you can, but what about the poor people that don't have the money to send their children to private schools? They can't. They're being deprived the right to practice their religion because they don't have the money to send them to a private school.
You know what's so funny about his argument? I was watching that Amanda Seals on Jubilee. I think it's called Jubilee, where it's Amanda Seals versus like debating like 20 people. And she was debating a bunch of black conservatives. And a bunch of the black conservatives were telling Amanda Seals, who doesn't identify as a radical or identify as a Democrat or a liberal. She identifies as a radical. So like a radical liberal Democrat, whatever. Yeah. They kept saying that, using her as an example, saying like, you figured it out with hard work. You figured out. A lot of people were saying like, listen, I don't come from, a rich background or even a middle-class background. A lot of them were saying, however, with discipline, with hard work, with proper decision-making, with proper guidance, they were able to figure things out with. And Amanda Seals' response was, well, yeah, well, all black people aren't just able, all black people aren't born with the same skills or same talents and stuff. Like, she was saying it like that, as far as like, well, not every black person can just figure it out, even though you may be able to figure it out. And it's just funny because this same argument was made. It's like all of this stuff is so circular. Like oh my God. If anything, this just shows us how goofy all of this stuff is, yo. All of this stuff is goofy, man. It literally is the most, you just come across with silly takeaways when you look at the world through this lens that we've been manipulated into looking at it as, which is, oh, this race versus that race, this religion versus that religion, this ethnicity versus this ethnicity. Everything is about dividing and conquering. Like, we just bought into this. It yields very silly or destructive or evil results.
Poor people that don't have the money to send their children to private schools. They can't. They're being deprived the right to practice their religion because they don't have the money to send them to a private school. There's no reason why in this great land of ours we couldn't have a three-tiered school system, a black school and a white school and an integrated school, and give everyone their choice. We would have much less dissension. We would have much less racial problems in the schools. And if those people that are seeking to integrate the races in this country really were seeking to do the best for both races, they would adopt this system and let integration proceed gradually.
What do you think?
Now, we said in the Bible, I believe my big bro Steve said it was in Exodus when Moses was referring to the slavery and how you can beat your slave and all this other stuff. And we gave Moses the grace in saying that Moses was adapting to the days and times. I'm over here saying like, yo, Moses was condoning slavery. The Bible's condoning slavery. I don't mess with nothing, no book that's supposed to be inspired by God. But then God, who's supposed to be the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-loving, would condone slavery. And we just give the excuses, oh, they're just adjusting to the days and times. What about him? What about this Grand Wizard? Sounds like he was making a pretty practical argument. Once again, I don't agree with any of the segregation, on any level. It just doesn't. It can do well in certain areas. Like, you can have a black group that's flourishing. You can have a white group that's flourishing. We saw this already happen before. But what it ultimately will lead to is us against them, and us not experiencing the diversity in a town like Montclair, New Jersey, where I grew up in. And one of the biggest benefits and biggest celebrations in that town with kids that actually grew up in it, and one of the things that we appreciate most, is because it was so diverse. So how could I possibly now I can understand from a segregation standpoint how that would benefit, because we'd have our own economy, own schools, I understand that. But it's like you're sick, right? You're sick and you got all these different ailments that you're suffering from, all these things that you're dealing with. And segregation may solve one of those things, but it doesn't solve the bigger thing. Like, you're sick, your lungs are collapsing, but segregation is going to cure your diarrhea. It's like, okay. The diarrhea was really bothering me. It felt like a huge problem at the time, to be totally honest. But once I got that, like, now my lungs are still collapsing. So
what do you?
This is in this country really we're seeking to do the best for both races. They would adopt this system and let integration proceed gradually.
What do you think our founding fathers meant when they said "we, the people of the United States"?
Well, I won't get into that debate, but
I know, but you're sitting here in your bed sheet telling us all that the only thing you're for, you're against.
You're really upset about my bed sheet.
Oh yeah, I think if I were you, I would be so ashamed of myself. I mean, I can't imagine walking around in that silly costume, telling people to be against blacks and against Jews.
Have you ever seen the Pope and the Cardinals in their costumes?
Yeah, but they're religious and they're for something, and you're just nothing but against something, and you're against the very spirit of this country. I believe in the same God.
You're
against the thing.
No.
Here we go, putting up certain people on a pedestal. We put up the religious leaders on such pedestals. We put them up on such pedestals, and if you look back at the last 1,000, 2,000 years, religion was probably at the forefront of killing far more people than anything else. So for him to say, like, that was just a funny thing, like, he keeps clowning the bed sheets. I get it. It's funny. Like, I don't know why these people wear these goofy uniforms or wore those goofy uniforms, whatever. But, and and him deciding to say, like, oh, well, those priests, they stand for something. This is the problem with all this. No, what they're wearing is goofy too. It's all goofy. Everything about it, it's all goofy. If it's goofy over here, it's goofy over there. Like, I don't, oh, well, that goofiness benefits me. Okay, cool. This goofiness, okay. If it's goofy, it's goofy. If it's wrong, it's wrong. And especially when it comes to religion, I don't think we should have any people on a pedestal middlemaning our relationship with God. That's just me, though.
You're against the thing that makes this country a unity and that makes this country great. And I think you're a disgrace.
You know nothing about what I believe and what
I
I
just
stand
heard
for.
what you believed.
And you think
Now
that's
you tell
wrong?
me
I believe in God. Is that wrong?
Do you deny that you said this? That this is the literature you're handing out to schools?
Hold up. I want him to answer that question.
To school children in America? I just quoted this from your own pamphlet. Are you fed up, it says here, with blacks following you home, trying to beat you up?
That's
Do you
right.
deny that you said that?
No, I don't. And
Hold on. So here, this is what I asked Maya this question earlier. Why do we hold man to lower standards than we hold God and our religious leaders, our prophets, the people that we worship, right? Why do we hold them to lower standards than we do man? And I'll break it down for you. You just vilified, whatever the right word is. You just made him out to be some type of devil for saying in his pamphlet, are you tired of black kids following you home to beat you up? But in the actual Bible, it condones how you can beat the hell out of a slavery, almost send them to heaven or hell based on how y'all do y'all religious, whatever. As long as they don't kill this slave on the next day, how you can conquer a group of people and take whatever wives you want, do whatever and get rid of the men. If they don't believe in this God, then get rid of them. You can't serve two masters. Matter of fact, the religion's also telling you to obey your I never hear people pull out verses in the Bible and say, did you know that the Bible said this? And da-da-da-da-da. But you're doing it with a KKK leader? And people may sit here and say, well, the Bible was written such years ago. So that means that you should just condone it? Is it okay if I pull up what he said 2,000 years ago in his pamphlet, the KKK, and say, oh, yeah, it was 2,000 years ago. It's cool. If it was wrong now, then it's wrong. And if you give the excuse that the Bible was just adjusting to those days and times, then why are you applying the Bible to these days and times? It doesn't make any sense. You can't have it any other, like you can't have it every way you want. If it's outdated, then stop applying it to now. Oh, it wasn't outdated. We just need to update the interpretation. Okay, well, he's talking on based on how things were with segregation. So that's what he wants, to bring back segregation based on his day and time. What is the difference? See, y'all people that can't call out the Bible and still worship everything in the Bible and still pledge your allegiance and Jesus, your Lord, and say, cool, all that stuff. And Jesus, let me be very clear. I separate Jesus from the Bible. I don't think Jesus, y'all take it or leave it, whatever. You don't get to have somebody die and then other people make a religion off of him. And I'm going to hold Jesus, the person who died fighting against organized religion, to the same standard and associate him with certain things that may have happened with Christianity and them using his name to pretty much develop a following. Just like this dude said earlier, yo, these other groups, they'll say and do anything to develop a following. Well, where's all these people that developed the religion of Christianity? Where were all y'all when Jesus was getting hung up on the cross? I'm just wondering. Maybe y'all weren't born yet. Based on I forget, I researched this a while ago. I think it was like let's actually look it up now. Let's actually look it up now. how long after Jesus died was Christianity created? Jesus was crucified around 30 to 33 CE. His earliest followers, mainly Jewish disciples in Jerusalem, continued gathering almost immediately after his death, believing he had risen from the dead. They didn't see themselves as a new religion yet, but rather as Jews who followed the Messiah. So 30 to 33 years after? Paul's letters, it says, are the earliest Christian writings we have, about 20 years after Jesus' death. So where were all y'all when he was getting hung up on the cross? If you felt so strong about his message, or what did he? Well, when he got hung up on the cross, we thought one thing, but then when he came back from the dead, we just knew he was a. Come on, bro. Miss me with all the magical stuff, bro. Miss me with all the tooth fairy Santa Claus stuff, bro. Miss me with it, because you only validate it, and it only when it suits your purpose. Other than that, it doesn't make any sense. Other than that, it doesn't make any sense. Harry wrote, the kicker is we are divine creation who live by common consent. Through compassion and humility, we know hardship and suffering because we dare rock the boat of the corrupt establishment. Yeah, some of us, Harry. Some of us definitely. Let's keep going. And I mean some of us as far as the people that will actually rock the boat. Not that we're all divine. We are definitely all divine. That's what we just got to be like, somebody just needs to shake all of us up and wake us up and be like, yo, you're divine. You are your own savior. It's in you. Stop waiting for the Jesus to come back. The Christ consciousness is within all of us. We can have heaven on earth. We don't have to wait to die. If you believe in your book so much, and if we all live by those principles, those commandments that you said in the book, and we're led by being children of God, then we'd have heaven on earth. We ain't got to wait to die. But because we were finessed with the religion, especially Black Americans, because we were taught it in a particular way to convince us to obey our earthly master and be a good slave. So therefore we'd have heaven in the afterlife. And that ignorant mindset has trickled down, and we still worship. It's like, we know that the people that did the most evil to us, apparently, the people that we blame the most for us being in this position, and white supremacy and all this stuff, the very people that gave us the religion that we pledge our life to, we didn't even change the way we look at it. We didn't even say, those people relied on the King James Version, the one that was rewritten or translated again right before Black people, or right before we started this slave shit in America. We're not even smart enough to say, you know what? Well, at the very least, I'm not going to, worship the same book that they used to enslave us, enslave our minds. At least I'm going to get an older translation, a more pure translation. Nope. Most of these Black churches still got the King James Version. Like, damn. I have Black fatigue, bro. It's just exhausting.
Let me tell you, that happens more times in America than what you can shake a stick at. Blacks try to
follow you home and beat you up. I mean,
we've had more racial problems than muggings.
You're a damn disgrace to the country.
No.
Oh,
Tom.
yes, you are.
I have a strong belief.
And you know
in
what?
fact,
you people were
fact,
beaten. I don't know what we're doing in 1982 talking to you.
Well, that's your problem, Tom. But let me tell you one thing. I'm not beaten, the Klan is not beaten, and the white race is not beaten. No more than the Democrats is beating or the Republicans is beaten. They're all fighting for the things that they believe in, and we believe in something.
All right, what do you believe in?
Earnestly, through the law.
Right, well,
Now, you told me what you were against. What do you believe in?
What we believe in.
What are you for?
We believe in God, we believe in the United States of America, and we believe that God has commanded us to separate ourselves from other races. Not because we hate the other races or because we feel that we're better or worse, but because we feel it's God's commandment. And if you...
Y'all are hypocrites. Y'all are scared hypocrites. And y'all probably know where I'm going with this. And the ones that don't, well, wake up. Listen to what he just said.
And we believe that God has commanded us to separate ourselves from other races, not because we hate the other races or because we feel that we're better or worse, but because we feel it's God's commandment.
So this is 1982. And he said that he believes that God commanded us to separate from other races, not because we're better or worse. But then we have a population, not all of them. We got a population of people that believe that that say that they are the chosen people, that God did this specifically just for us, that God gave us this land specifically for us. I gotta question it. It's like, come on, this is very inconsistent. This is supposed to be the evil person. And he's sitting here saying like, yo, I just believe in segregation, like not for because we're better or worse. Like, yo, I just like what I like and I want my people to be like my people and everybody else, they do their own thing. Think about how they talk about him, but the energy is a little different. I keep saying it, the energy is a little different. This is why I always call out any group of people. I don't care who you are. I don't care. We're all God's children. There is no, just like you don't want to grow up in a household where even though you may, but you don't want to grow up in a household where you're just giving favoritism to one child or not, one child over another. We would all say that that's not right. If you were living in your house as a parent and you just kept telling one kid, like, you're the chosen child, you are the chosen one, how do you think the other person is going to feel? How do you think the other kid's going to feel? You're going to say something like this. Hey, not that neither one of my sons are better or worse, but I don't. Y'all know exactly what I'm saying, and y'all know exactly what y'all aren't willing to say.
And
because y'all aren't willing to have these conversations, see, people think that. I think a lot of people believe that when I say certain things, like people are scared to have these conversations, that I want you to just say it just because you should say it and men say stuff. It's not that. It's you should say it so we can have real conversations and get to some real solutions and perhaps understand how, hey, if I'm just honest about how I see things, if I'm honest about how I feel, maybe I need to say those things because it may wake somebody else up who thinks that it's like, if you never tell me, we've all heard about yes men, right? If you never tell me that I'm doing something wrong, if my girl never tells me like, yo, you got stuff on your face, or you got this, or you got that, or you smell, like, yo, you need to tell me these things so I can fix them. You lying to me about him is not helping either one of us. But we don't do that. We don't do that. We won't do that.
Criticize that in our religion, then you're criticizing some other races, not because we what we believe in.
What are you for?
We believe in God, we believe in the United States of America, and we believe that God has commanded us to separate ourselves from other races, not because we hate the other races or because we feel that we're better or worse, but because we feel it's God's commandment. And if you criticize that in our religion, then you're criticizing the Christianity for the last 2,000 years.
Whoa.
And our religion better or worse,
that last part?
but because we feel it, not because we hate the other races or because we feel that we're better or worse, but because we feel it's God's commandment. And if you criticize that in our religion, then you're criticizing the Christianity for the last 2,000 years.
See, this is the problem with a lot of this stuff. Even with a lot of the a lot of these religious scriptures were written during a time where there may not have been as many different types of religions. So perhaps their leaders, maybe they didn't have malicious intent, but perhaps they were writing it and saying maybe something like, even like with the whole Ted Cruz situation, how they interpreted that to be said, God said, be good to Israel. Maybe Israel had a different meaning at that particular time because it was so long ago. Maybe there wasn't the Baha'i faith at that time, obviously. So it wasn't, the person writing it couldn't say, oh, also be good to the Baha'is, and update it and say, oh, also be good to the Muslims, also be good to. We have to mature spiritually and as human beings, or we will just constantly be fighting these wars. If religion is not bringing us together, then we need to throw away religion. Either let's try to figure out a way to where we can use it to bring us together. And if we can't figure out a way to use religion to bring us all together, then what is the point of using it at all? If we all believe that we're all God's children and we all have these different practices, all different ways of looking at life, and it's separating us more than it's bringing us together, why are we so scared to let that go? Why should the priority not be for us to live in harmony with each other? If religion is still causing us to solve problems the way that we solved problems with war 2,000-3,000 years ago, then perhaps it's not advancing society the way that we need it to advance. Perhaps we shouldn't just give certain excuses like when we were talking about with Moses condoning slavery in the Bible. Perhaps we shouldn't just give grace to Moses and say, oh, well, he was just adjusting to those days and times. Perhaps we should say Moses was wrong. Because the slaveholders who we hate were just adjusting to, they were just adapting to their day and time. I'm sure there's a lot of people who commit crimes that could say, hey, I was just adapting to my day and time. I was just adapting to my environment. Do we give those people a pass? No. So then why are we giving who are supposed to be our most holy people a pass? It doesn't make any sense. Tom Brady holds himself to a higher standard than the guy on practice squad. That's what made the Patriots a successful team. But we do the opposite. We hold the people that we should be holding in the highest regard to the highest level of accountability, to the highest standards. We flip it and hold the people that they're trying to get us to convince us to hate to a higher standard. How does that make sense? Shout out to my little bro in the building. Michael, get to bed, bro. You need to, and I got to come by and see you for a car wash. I think this weekend I'll be able to come by. I know you were, and I owe you a text back too, because you were giving me the update on your new business. Shout out to Michael. Michael's one of the youngest, I shouldn't lead with the youngest, one of the best entrepreneurs out here in Miami. That's my little bro. That's my little bro. So if you need a car wash, y'all make sure y'all go tap in with my little bro. Mike, leave the information below, man. Leave the information for the people, man. Leave the information in case there's some local people in Miami here. Harry wrote, Britain created Zionism in Poland 1,800 years ago. King James first authorized the Holy Bible in 1604 and published in 1611 and came to Plymouth Rock in 1620-21. Christmas and New Year's, pro-Zionism. Look, y'all know how I feel about the Bible and all these translations and interpretations. Yeah, it's across the board. You know what the really, you know what the problem is? Like, you know how I talk about a lot of times how Jesus, because he supposedly died for our sins, that it just kind of removes a lot of accountability off other people. Because we think that Jesus is coming back to save us, it removes people for us embracing a Christ consciousness and us becoming our own gods of our own lives and moving in a more godly manner, so that way we can take accountability and hold ourselves to a higher standard to create the world that our religions say that they want us to live in. All of these religions, man, they failed us. But it depends on your goal. If your goal as a religion, whether you're Jewish, whether you're Christian, whether you're Muslim, if your goal as a Muslim, if your goal as a Christian, if your goal as a Jewish person is to just have your religion uplift the people that align with your religion, and when I say align, the people that pledge their allegiance to your religion, whether it's accepting Jesus as your Lord and Savior or whatever the other practices are, then they are failing humanity. Because in the view of God, do you think God is prioritizing one of his kids over another? Like who do we think God is? A terrible parent? Who do we think God is? Do you think God is a shitty parent? So what type of parent would be okay with his children behaving the way that we behave, solving problems the way that we solve problems, and they don't even get solved? What type of parent would be okay with this? And not only do we solve these problems this way or say we're trying to solve the problems that way, we do it in our parents' name. Do y'all ever heard? We've heard the term before, the saying where, your parents probably rolling over in their grave. What do we think God is doing right now, looking at humanity? Make sure y'all like. Make sure y'all like. Harry wrote, Israel or Zionism is Israel. Israel is pro-segregation. Segregation is colonial submissiveness. Yo, this is the thing. Like, you can't get mad at the Grand Wizard and then not have that energy when it comes to other areas. We can't do that. We can't get mad at the Grand Wizard for preaching nationalism to his people, but then get mad at when it's preached to other people. Like, how did we get here? Oh my God. Oh my God. How did we get here? How is it okay for Jonathan Greenblatt, who runs the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, I believe that's what it stands for, to go on an interview and say that he's concerned with Jewish people marrying outside of the group, the Judaism, but then get mad at a Grand Wizard of the KKK for wanting the same thing for his people? Are there any more real? God dang. Harry. It's all BS, yo. It's all BS. This is why I find it harder and harder to find role models. Like, I can have certain role models in particular areas, but I find it harder and harder to have role models. It's like I have to consciously, like, I used to just get very upset and annoyed and frustrated and just look down on people. I'll be totally honest. Like, I look down on people that I look up to, and I see them as such honorable people and such righteous people and people that I, used to want to be like. I'm like, damn, like, yo, how you just condoning this type of stuff? How you promoting this type of stuff? We need a reset. We need a reset. Harry wrote, shout out to my bro. Shout out to Big. VK in the building. I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you, bro. Harry wrote, we belong to the earth. The earth belongs to no one. We are her stewards by natural right. I'm with it, bro. I'm with it. And this is another point that you bring up, Harry. See, think about it. And you said something about your native ancestry. Let me run that back. My native ancestry historically said in a question, this Jesus, he sounds like a good man. So why did you kill him? God and or creator has nothing to do with the world villages. Let me ask you this, because to your point, as far as we all belong to the earth, do we realize what has happened? Do we realize what colonization really actually did? Colonization was not just about European powers or Christian powers or whatever other colonization was not solely about European powers taking over nations. Now, I guess some people may get upset with we're judging where I said all of Europeans, right? But we judge all the KKK people based on the most radical ones of the KKK. So pardon me. European colonization, this manifest destiny, all this doctrine of discovery, what it did was it took the most radical religious groups and they destroyed the soul of the world. And what do I mean that they destroyed the soul of the world? Is because look at the people that they conquered. Look at how the Native Americans looked at the land. Look at how the Native Americans looked at society compared to what these people coming over here who just wanted to claim land as theirs, destroy, rape, pillage, do whatever to the people that were here, and kill and destroy and did it by any means necessary to get this land to conquer. Because they were told that they can conquer any land that if the people in it didn't already pledge their allegiance to our particular God and our religion, then you can conquer that group of land. These radical people who conquered all of these lands, they destroyed the soul of the world because the very people that they conquered were the actual spiritual beings. Those were the people that were living in their spiritual way of life. Perhaps that's why they have and this is just something that I just got at the top of my mind. Maybe that's like, y'all know, I think that we're connected because we are nature. I think that we're connected to nature. Obviously, that may sound crazy to people, but a lot of people don't look at human beings as nature. But let me ask y'all this. It seems like a lot of the places that have the most natural resources, perhaps a lot of those places had a lot of the most spiritual beings, but whether it was the Arab slave trade, whether it was European colonization, perhaps these groups, they destroyed a lot of these. I don't even know. I mean, that may not hold up consistently, but y'all understand what I'm saying. The very people who were conquered were the most spiritual beings. The world would be a better place if the people who colonized and conquered stayed where they were. Show me otherwise. And that's across the board. When people who just want to conquer something and take over something, how could the world not be a better place if they just decided to stay in their place and not try to conquer anybody? But instead, what does it do? It resets our morals. It resets our principles. It resets our values, because now we align everything with, oh, they tried to conquer this particular group of people. It's okay because we benefited because we got some land and we were broke as hell in Europe. But then we came over here and now we just got to take land from other people. So we have an opportunity to grow something of ourselves. So therefore we justify and rationalize all the evil that we had to do that doesn't align with our religion. But you know, we can interpret religion however we want to because it's so old, right? That's the benefit of having something that's outdated. You get to interpret it however you want, rather than having updates that are very clear, like don't enslave people. Forget adjusting to your days and times. It's evil. It's wrong. But what do? We rationalize and justify everything that gives us some type of self-interest. This is I'm done. 60 seconds. Y'all know what we do. Maybe for the newcomers, y'all may not know what we do. At the end of every show, we take at least 45 seconds. Today, we're going to do 60 seconds to just kind of recalibrate, free our mind from the things that we were focusing on so heavily on the show. Meditate, manifest, get your breath work in. What we try to do is concentrate and really feel our breath in every exhale and inhale. Let the exhales represent all the negative energy leaving our body. Let the inhales represent all the positive. So eventually, what do we have? We're just recirculating positive energy, positive air, and projecting that out into the world. And that's how we'll change and shift the energy. So 60 seconds. If you're in a safe place, close your eyes or leave them open. Do whatever you feel is best. Give yourself whatever you need. Give yourself whatever you need. And I ask y'all to just focus on the fact that, Leo, we're in this thing together, man. We're in this thing together. How lucky we are to be living on this planet, to come from one of a billion sperms in our father, and to be able to fertilize an egg in our mother. And that's kind of magical, right? Like when you think about it, when you step back, and if it was done for the first time, then we would look at it as like, yo, this is immaculate, right? This is an amazing thing. If we looked at it for the first time and just saw two people came together, had sex, and then a baby was born, like we would look at that as kind of wild. So let's appreciate that. Let's appreciate that. Let's thank God. What better way to show our appreciation to God for what he created that we benefit from than to actually treat each other better and to not justify the silliest things or use the silliest things to justify the most evil things, perhaps I should say. So I'm getting back. 60 seconds. You give yourself whatever you need in these 60 seconds, and we'll start that now. All right, one last inhale. Inhale and positive, getting rid of all that last bit of negative energy in that exhale. Yo, appreciate y'all showing love, man. BK, great episode. Thank you. Awesome discussion. Really appreciate y'all, man. Y'all know what we come here to do, elevate on purpose, both from an intentional standpoint, raising our standards to challenge ourselves to become the best leaders we can become that are clearly needed now more than ever. All right. Stop living in fear. It's not godly. Every time we're overcome by the fear, rather than our principles, morals, and values that are supposed to align with God and supposed to align with us elevating with our higher purpose, we're just selling ourselves short. We're doing ourselves and humanity a disservice. All right. So let's challenge ourselves. Let's be intentional with not only becoming the best leader we can become, but growing into the people we need to become in order to feel confident as we strive for these audacious, what some people may believe as arrogant goals. All right. We know that these goals are not easily attained, but we also understand that by not striving for them, where's that going to land us? All right. So all we can do is make sure that we understand the goal, understand as much as we can what it's going to take to accomplish that goal, and then just make the commitment to sacrifice and go for it. That's all we got. Strength and honor, onward and upward. Y'all know what I mean when I say get to that bag. For those that don't know what I mean when I say get to that bag, that's all the things that you're going to do that can be perceived as the little things that we know that are going to accumulate to who we become as a person and whether or not we accomplish our goals, but the things that we focus on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, yearly basis, all these things that are going to ultimately accumulate into our scoreboard, into the impact that we're going to have on this world that we like to call our personal legend. So we want to make sure that we're living in our purpose, striving for purposeful abundance. And just doing better, man. Us each committing to doing our part. We each got a role to play. Like the Patriots, we just put out a check-in on our Patreon, and it's going to be on our YouTube for a little bit longer. But what made the Patriots so successful? And it's because they do their job. Each person makes the commitment to do their job. Let's do our jobs. We got a job here. We got a job here to do. All right. You got to figure out the things that are important to you, the impact that you want to make on this world, and then back into it and determine what are the things that are going to align with those smaller steps that we were talking about that are not smaller, we get it, but that are going to align with you achieving your overall goal. So the things that I like to focus on are peace, love, happiness, health, wealth, and in everything I do, that we do, integrity. And the last thing that I've been focusing on a lot is balance. So a proper level of balance. All right. Balance in everything that we do. All right. That seems to be the key to everything in life. All right. Not being too extreme, not being too radical, but just having a healthy balance. All right. Shout out to bro for dropping that. Yo, I always forget. Thank you, bro. Thank you, bro. Because I always forget to. I don't like. Thank you. I just got to say thank you. I forgot what the name of it was. I was about to say I don't even know what to ask for. I forgot the name of it, but the super chat. Shout out to my bro, man. Shout out to my bro. Get your ass to Miami so we can build soon, bro. All right, yo. I think that's all we got. That's all we got, man. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all soon. Ew.